So by now you love Fiddler and you want to be able to use this, or you have used this to do a lot of troubleshooting, looking at websites. You're used to using it on your desktop, but now you're faced with smartphones, tablets, or non-Windows platforms where Fiddler won't run. So how do we set this up so you can still take advantage of Fiddler and watch the traffic between, say, an iPad and your web server? The idea with Fiddler is you set up a reverse proxy. So you're going to run Fiddler on your Windows machine with your default port of 8888. You may need to enable that port in your firewall. Then you're going to go into Fiddler, and in the Tools, Fiddler Options, Connections, you're going to click to allow remote computers to connect. Then you're going to determine the IP address of your Windows machine. Then you're going to go into Rules, Customize Rules, and adjust the on before request. So we're going to make some small Fiddler script modifications. We're going to get into Fiddler script more in detail later, but you need to make a slight modification to it now in order to capture the traffic that comes in to Fiddler and then have it posted to the right website on your machine. You can also map that incoming IP address to local, or I could point it remote as well. So if I'm trying to troubleshoot a remote web server website, I'm able to specify when I do the on before request where I want to forward the request to. So the request will come into Fiddler now. Fiddler will take that request. It will establish a new connection to the actual web server and pass the traffic and do that back and forth, even though the client in this case is not on the same machine. It's actually another machine. To see how to capture traffic from a remote device, in my case I'm going to use an iPad and make a connection to one of the websites on my machine. So the first thing I need to do is I need to come into Fiddler, go to Tools, Fiddler Options, Connections, and make sure that I've got Allow Remote Computers to Connect, which I do. And again, look at the default port of 8888. Next thing I need to do, in my case I'm running this on my home wireless network, I want to figure out what the IP address of my machine is. So I'm going to use ipconfig. And in this case I see I'm at 192.168.1.108. So I'm going to copy that. Okay. Now I want to go in and customize my rules, because as requests come in, I want to have this act as a reverse proxy. So I'm going to go into the Fiddler script. Again, we'll look into this more in detail later. There's an on before request function. And if you see, when a request comes in, if it's going to a particular IP address, in this case, the IP address of my machine with the port 8888, I want to actually have the request go to my localhost port 84. That happens to be where my website is running. So let's save this. So now Fiddler is set up and ready. So now we're going to go to the iPad device. So now I've gone to my iPad. I typed into Safari in the address bar the 192.168.1.108, which is the IP address of my machine, along with :8888 to specify I want it to go to the port that Fiddler is listening on. So as I make a request to that, you'll see that Fiddler has now made a capture like it did before. Since I've been to it before, you'll see that it gets a lot of 304s because I already had all of this in the browser cache. But if I were to look at this particular request, you can see the user agent shows that it is definitely coming from my iPad. So again, this is very nice. It's easy to set up a reverse proxy so that I can take advantage of Fiddler to trace things like my smartphone traffic, my tablets. If I have Mac OS and I want to see what kind of traffic that is doing as well. Any other platform that doesn't support running Fiddler because it's not a Windows platform, I can still make it a reverse proxy so these devices and platforms can make connections, and then I can still use all the normal Fiddler features that I'm used to take advantage of it for these other devices.